Okay, today I would like to talk about rape culture. Rape culture is heavily present in our world, and many don't believe that it's present in the United States, but in fact, it is in fact. Okay, let's talk about what rape culture is before we dive into or talk about whether it exists or not in the United States. Rape culture is normalizing rape. Thinking of it as inevitable, such as death or taxes. Some examples would be blaming the victim, or making sex jokes, or thinking that only women get raped. All of those are rape culture. There's a lot more to it than most people think. Rape culture can be separated into three subgenres: blaming the victim, trivializing, and assumptions. Now, blaming the victim, we hear this a lot. People think that it doesn't really happen, and they think that no one they know actually thinks like this. But I personally have heard so many people think like this and seen it time after time. Blaming the victim on her or his own attack based on her mental state, their past, their behavior, or their what they're wearing. Saying that her skirt was too short, so she was asking for it, or that she was behaving seductively and she was seducing the alleged attacker, and so she deserved it. She brought them on. Trivializing would be making jokes of, making light and making jokes, rape jokes, sexually explicit jokes, or tolerance of sexual harassment. Trivializing would be saying that boys will be boys, when rape is rape no matter what. It doesn't matter if a boy is being a boy or not, or the rape victim or the rapist himself is being a rapist. Assumptions. Okay, there's a lot of assumptions that go into a rape culture. Assuming that only promiscuous women get raped. This is not true. There are so many women who get raped who've done nothing and have not provoked it in any form or whatsoever. And assuming that men don't get raped, and if they do, they're weak, when this is not true at all. Assuming that only men do the raping and that only women get raped. Men and women get raped, and men and women are rapists. It's not just secluded to one gender. Another example of assumption would be defining manhood as dominant and sexually aggressive, or womanhood as submissive and sexually passive. It can be a person is a person. They have their individualistic characteristics. It's not a man is supposed to act one way and a woman is supposed to act one way. Another form of trivializing would be a lot of the movies and television and social media that we see puts gratuitous gendered violence in it. And that is definitely present in the United States alone. All of these things are present in the United States. I've seen every single one of them. Saying that men don't get raped or men are only rapists is not true, when 1 out of every 10 rape victim is a male in the United States. And 1 out of every 6 American women has either undergone a completed or an attempted rape. 14.8% of them being completed and 2.8% being attempted. Young women and young men are especially at risk, and this is usually blamed on their behavior, the way they act recklessly, not protecting themselves. When rape doesn't have a justification. Thinking that rape can be justified is rape culture in its entirety. Also, another thing would be that instead, a way we can prevent it, a way we can stop rape culture, or to try and start slowing it down, to try and put a stop to it, would be saying, instead of just teaching your girls or your rape victims to be safe and to not provoke it, to guard yourself. Most people think that when we say this, we're saying you don't need to teach your girls to keep safe or to be alerted, that you just need to teach boys not to rape. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you need to teach your girls to be safe and to be alert at all times, but also boys should be raised not to rape. We should be teaching not to rape. And it's not saying that every man is a rapist, but it's saying that it's not the victim's fault. And if she doesn't defend herself properly, a man is stronger than her most of the time. So it's not the victim's fault, but it's also not just subjected onto men. Another way we can combat rape culture is to avoid using language that objectifies or degrades women or men, objectifies or degrades any gender. Or to speak out if you hear someone else making an offensive joke or trivializing rape. Or if you find yourself, after hearing or reading my blog, if you find yourself trivializing rape, you'll catch it before you even realize you did it. Or you'll catch it right after. Making jokes about rape. That happens so much more often than people would like to believe. Another way is if a friend says she or he has been raped, take her seriously and be supportive. Don't start asking her if she defended herself properly, if she was asking for it based on what she was wearing or the way she was acting. No one deserves to be raped. A victim is a victim and a rapist is a rapist. Start thinking critically about the media's messages about women, men, relationships, and violence. Instead of letting it influence you, why don't you try and stop it right there and think about the victim themselves. Another way is to be respectful of others' physical space, even in casual situations. A lot of people can misinterpret your motives. So you need to be cautious of that. Always communicate and take communication not lightly. If someone says no, it means no. And I think that can be taught too, that instead of teaching just girls to be safe, teach that no means no. No doesn't mean maybe, no doesn't mean flirting, no means no, and when no is said, it needs to stop. Okay, last, get involved. Join a student or a community group working to end violence against women and rape victims. Have a good day.